not just go in ChatGPT and ask for like, hey, can you write me a blog and then publish it to your website? Because one, like Google actually doesn't like that. As much as you may think that you're getting all these good SEO scores from the platforms they're being written in, Google's like, hey, this isn't really like trustworthy. Henrique, thanks so much for being on the Growth Asylum podcast today. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Ian, for having me. I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome. I'm really pumped about being here to have this deep conversation with you about all things SEO.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited. For the audience, we're going to be talking about how to create a winning B2B SEO strategy today. And, I kind of want to tee Henrique up here real quick. And I also kind of want him to explain, a little bit about himself too. But I mean, Henrique is a part of Sure. He has 8 years of experience in the SEO world. And so he's going to be like our guru today that we're interviewing. And, for anyone that doesn't know, Sure primarily, we're an SEO agency. We do SEO for B2B clients as well as some B2C ones too. And we're really focused on what happens to those leads after they become a lead. So we care about revenue. We care about what happens to them inside of your CRM. So Henrique, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get started at Sure? How did you get started in the SEO world? Love to hear about it.
Of course. So it's kind of a long story in the SEO world. So SEO in itself, it's not that old. Like the industry has I guess 30 plus years old. So I've been working in SEO for 8 years, and it's been an incredible journey. I can tell you that. So my first experience was back in Portugal. I'm Portuguese. I live in Canada right now, but I'm Portuguese. And my first experience was at a Portuguese fintech. And what we did is that we focused on comparison of financial products. So personal and mortgage loans, for example. So that was really awesome. We faced interesting challenges like ranking. We had to rank the site for keywords like home loans, personal loans, which was very tough, but it also taught me a lot. And yeah, this experience laid out a strong foundation for the next step in my career. So because about 3.5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, 3.5 years ago, I joined Sure. And at Sure, I've had the privilege of working with a wide range of companies, B2B, B2C, as you said, from SaaS to travel think. That's it. That's my journey as an SEO.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's great. I love the people that come from an in-house job to they're working with a company. At first, so fintech was where you worked. And then you're like, hey, this is, you worked on a hard, personal and mortgage loan comparisons. That is really hard SEO to rank for because how many other companies are trying to rank for that, right? That's difficult. And then what's cool is getting a chance to work in an agency where you then get to expand your skill set in all these other industries. And then you become this really well-rounded guy that just knows a lot about SEO. And what's really cool about SEO is that it's kind of constantly changing. I mean, it's funny because SEO is a slow moving tactic where, it takes time to see the results. But I'll also say that SEO is also sort of this slowly always changing thing. And we're going to kind of talk about how to create that winning B2B SEO strategy in 2024 and onwards, because we're about to be in 2025 now. But Henrique, I think this sets us up perfectly to talk about EAT a little bit. You want to explain what EAT is, EEAT, for the audience?
Yeah, so I think this is, in my opinion, one of the most important factors in the SEO game. So, and do you remember, I told you guys that I worked for a fintech company back in 2019, 2018. While I was there, one of the biggest lessons that I learned was the importance of something in SEO called EAT or EEAT, which is, I know, a bit of a mouthful, but it stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And as Google, you're absolutely correct. Google is always evolving, and as Google evolves, it's been increasingly essential to show that your content is not only created by someone with deep subject matter expertise, but also comes from a trustworthy source within its niche. Let me give you an example. For example, if you are writing a company blog, for example, ensure that an expert in the field reviews the content for accuracy and is listed as an author or reviewer. Because Google will look at that author, it will see someone who has experience in the field, and the likelihood that your blog article will rank better is much, much higher because you have like someone who really understands the topic writing that article. Another strategy that I like a lot in terms of showcasing EAT is like if your company wins an award, like brag about it. Add it to the homepage, to about us sections, to your product pages, add it everywhere because this establishes credibility with not only with Google, but also with your users, of course. Another thing that I think whoever wants to do well on Google that should do is like if you have like a media mention, and especially if you have a media mention in an industry publication that's very relevant for your niche, try to get a link from that publication because it's very important that Google knows that other relevant sources are linking back to you. This is like the utmost importance. And finally, I think just one last piece is like technical SEO. Technical SEO here is very important in terms of EAT because you can use, for example, things like that are a bit technical, but using, for example, what we call structured data, which is a kind of a code that you use on the pages. That code tells Google what the page is about. So it helps Google understand the relevance of your content for a particular topic. So I know there's a lot of moving parts here. It's a lot to unpack that we have to do, a lot of unpacking that we have to do, but that.
No, it's great though. It's great that I mean, there's this, acronym EAT, but yeah, there's these four things that live underneath it. And these four things are, you know, people think of SEO and they just think, oh, SEO, but there's all these other things that are involved with it, which technical SEO, which is like how your site is like put together, like the internal linking strategy, the link building strategy, the on-page SEO, off-page SEO. Like there's all these things underneath SEO. And that's why I think this is such a hot topic now. And people like, a lot of businesses are starting to get more, understanding of like, hey, we need SEO, but they have to also understand that like when they come to like an agency like Sherrock or another agency and they say, hey, we want to rank higher in Google, there's a lot of things that have to go into that. And Eats is like a great strategy to like build around. But, there's different industries, different things work for different industries, but generally speaking, SEO looks pretty similar across industries. And so I guess, Henrik, well, now let's start to talk about like the secret to crafting like a compelling B2B SEO strategy. Like, what does that look like, especially as someone who is managing clients and like helping build their SEO over time? Like, what is the secret? Is there like a one thing fixes all, or is that just like, baloney? Like, what are the things here, Henrik?
Well, as you said, like when you hire an agency, and if it's a good agency, you can expect that agency to work on all these different factors like on page, off page, link building, all that. So I don't think there's a silver bullet that fixes everything, but there is something that I think is essential to craft a successful, not only B2B strategy, but a successful SEO strategy. And for me, so I've worked with clients for the past, I guess, 4 years. And the secret in this case is the openness between the client and the SEO. Because for a strategy to be effective, it has to be a partnership where the client is willing to share, but also the SEO has to be eager to learn. Because from experiences, I know, and I've made this mistake myself in the past. So one of the common temptations in SEO is to take a one size fits all approach, especially within similar industries. For example, SEOs might assume that a certain list of keywords will work across all SaaS companies, but that's not often the case. Some software companies are more like platforms, others are more technical, so users call them systems, and so on. So the keyword research should reflect this diversity. So in my opinion, I think the starting point for all this, the starting point of like crafting a winning strategy should be going with a blank state, and really, I can stress this enough, it's very important, listening to the client. For example, when we onboard a client, I always try to ask certain questions, like, for example, what do you believe your clients are searching for when they're looking for a product? I think this is very important because the client knows their audience better than we do. So this is a very important question for us. Another very important one is like, which pain points are you addressing? Because we want to make sure that we are tackling the right issues. Are they suffering in terms of conversions? Do they want to get more traffic? What's the end goal? Like, for example, which products are the main drivers of revenue? Should we focus on those products first? So if you do all this before even starting you should be able to uncover like really, really valuable insights that go definitely beyond typical keyword research.
I,
So yeah, that's
yeah,
something I would.
not to cut you off, Henrik, but I mean, it makes a lot of sense. When you go into an engagement like this, the client can't just say, okay, like they sign the agreement and then it's like, okay, you guys just do your thing, because like you said, if you go into SEMrush or Ahrefs or any of these platforms to do your keyword research, like, yeah, you can find keywords that are related to that person's industry or that client's industry. And you say, okay, these are the highest volume, or these are the ones that are least competitive. We can start to rank for sooner rather than later. But like you said, it matters what the client is looking for. Like, what strategic direction are they trying to go right now? Are they trying to show up a lot higher for a certain term that maybe it's not the lowest hanging fruit when you're looking in the platforms, but if they really want to show up for that and they want to build towards that, then obviously we need to build towards that. So, I mean, like you said, the secret is that collaboration and patience is probably the biggest thing when it comes to building a B2B SEO strategy. But the next part to that, which you kind of hinted upon a little bit, is understanding like the kinds of keywords and where they relate in the marketing funnel. And so we're talking about keywords, we're talking about pages, and like the different content strategies for each of those stages. So Henry, could you kind of walk us through like what those stages are and like what the goals are associated with each one of those?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think the first thing that we need to take into account is that not all keywords are the same. Even when we're talking about the same topic, keywords can be different and have different purposes. So now we already have those initial insights from the client, right? And now we can start crafting a content strategy that aligns with their target audience's journey. So, for example, what we do at SureOak is that we divide this user journey into 3 stages. And those stages are awareness, consideration, and selection. So, yeah, those are the 3. And each one has its own purpose and content style, and we have to ensure that we are writing the right content for each of these stages. So starting with the first one, which is the awareness, this is a stage that's all about capturing users who are 100% absolutely new to the topic. They know that they have a need. They do know that, but they are still trying to figure out what it really entails. So for example, it can be like someone who has like some kind of issue at work and might be looking for a lawyer, but they're not sure if they really need a lawyer. So what they'll do is search for questions like, do I need a lawyer in this situation? So that's like the awareness stage. I think it's very important for any B2B or B2C, of course, but B2B, we're talking about B2B. It's very important for any B2B business to be aware that at this stage, users won't convert as much because they're just beginning to understand the subject, so they are not really ready to convert. But regardless, having your brand's content in front of them early on, you are already building a recognition and a connection there, right?
Yeah. And before we get into the other stages, I just want to say, which is the beauty of marketing in general, is this stage is the same regardless of the strategy or tactic you're using. So like for me on the digital marketing side of things and from the, pay-per-click Google or social media ads, awareness stage is the same thing. You're going to expect to capture interest from someone who's like looking into the topic and they just don't like Henrik said, they're not super sure like what they need yet. So having that strategic kind of content there, like how-to guides, explainer videos, blog posts that are very like high level, like not like in the weeds of things, are going to be really crucial here. So Henrik, I'll hand it back over to you for the next stage.
Just adding something to that. Also, from Google's standpoint, this type of content, the guides, the blog articles, the resources, this is all important for Google to understand you as an authority in this niche. Because if you write about that, then Google knows that you are really an expert. If you only write like service pages and don't write anything else, then Google will look at your site and think, okay, the purpose is not necessarily to help people, it's just to sell a product. But if you write blog articles, guides, and so on, then Google and your users too will know that your goal there is to help them. So I just wanted to add this here before going to the consideration stage, which is also very important in a SEO and, as you said, in the marketing user journey.
Absolutely.
So yeah, about the consideration stage. So these are users who already understand the product or service and are now they are now like just considering different options. That's what they're doing. And this is on this stage, users are looking for things like comparison articles, listicles, like the best of listicles that we often see, case studies, like how your product solved an issue for another client. So this might be like keywords like, for example, best accounting software for small businesses. Or if we want to go to a B2C context, which I think most people understand, is like something like iPhone versus Samsung. So you are like in the process of you want to buy a new phone, right? But you're not sure if iPhone or the Samsung is the best one for you. So you do that search. You're not ready to buy yet, but you are almost there. So they are comparing options, and again, you want to be right in front of them, of the user, with information, and the information that you want to have is like information that really outlines your product's strengths and weaknesses as well.
And to build a little bit off of this, just from like again like a holistic marketing sense too, like a great like KPI or objective at this point is, yes, like clicks is great for awareness, but then in consideration stage, we want to like somehow get a little bit of buy-in from these people. And so like in a comparison article or a listicle, you could have like a little PDF and it's like, hey, you download this complete PDF and take it, show it to your team, like something that they can just take with them, that all they're giving us in exchange is their email address. And we would call those people a marketing qualified lead at that point, where they're not ready for sales. Like sales shouldn't be reaching out to these people, but at the end of the day, like we know that this person is progressing, and so we should put them into a marketing email nurture. So, where Henrique is saying is SEO's job is to get these people to that page, and then from the overarching marketing perspective, like we want to make sure these people feel empowered to take a little bit of action, even when they come back to our site for like maybe a second or third time at this point. So,
For
Henrik,
sure.
not to steal your thunder there,
No,
but
no, no. I was just going to agree with you. There are so many touch points before a client actually converts that it's very important. So SEO is only part of like a very wide marketing campaigns that you can do. But there are so many touch points before like a client actually converts that if you can like be in front of the client on every touch point almost, that will guarantee success for sure.
really. So let's talk about the selection stage.
So this is like what I like to call the meat and potatoes of this whole strategy, because this is where the money comes in. So this stage focuses on users who are like at the bottom of the funnel. So they are ready to make a decision. And this is also where your revenue driving keywords live. Your product pages, your service pages, your pricing pages. We want to rank those as high as possible. But also something to take into account. So we really need to work on these pages because these are the most important pages on your site. So we need to take into account a couple of strategies, like making sure that users can find those pages easily. So what we usually do is, like, if you have like an important product or service pages, they should be accessible from the navigation bar. So users can go there, click on those pages, and land on the page to convert. That's one thing. I think in terms of backlinks, they should be a priority. Like, we should be able to drive as many backlinks to those pages as possible because we want them to really outcompete the other product pages that your competitors have. And finally, something which I think is very, very important to say is that these pages really make a difference. For example, even like a 1% change or lift in visibility on these pages can lead to significant results depending on the industry, on the product, etc. But these are like the pages that will drive leads, revenue. So they should be like the focus of our strategy. Of course, we should work on all the others, but at least we at Sherlock, we first prioritize these pages when a new client comes in, and then we focus on the consideration stage pages and on the awareness stage pages.
Yeah, absolutely. I think to kind of talk through a little bit of like why bottom of funnel is so important, we're going to want to understand that, yeah, like these are the revenue driving pages. Doesn't matter if you're doing SEO or any other marketing, especially if you're getting started with an agency, the first place they're going to go is actually the bottom of the funnel, which are the people that are literally raising their hands saying, I've done my research. I've compared the options. I'm ready to buy. Someone give me a good offer. And that's what we have to do whenever we're building out your pages through an SEO perspective. We want to make sure we're addressing a lot of the objections that they would have. We're giving them an offer that is better than our competitors offer, and we also want to just talk in their language. So depending on your ideal customer profile, you want to kind of talk their language and understand, like, hey, we're saying things that make sense to them, and so they feel like they're understood. They're more likely to take action. And so we talked about the KPI and the consideration stage, which was like that MQL, marketing qualified lead. In the selection stage, it's going to be like an SQL, which means, hey, they're like actually ready to talk to sales at this point. So, or they're ready to take a free trial now. So what that means is, they're going to fill out a form on your website, or they're going to go through that conversion path to become a free trial for your software or whatever kind of solution you have. So like Henrik said, these pages are going to be the most important and probably prioritized regardless of the agency you work with. Like, these are the money pages. Like, you need to crack these and do these really well. And you're going to want to work with an agency that understands that and can track that, hey, this person became an SQL. What did they become revenue? Did they not? And like actually paint a picture of your SEO's ROI. So just wanted to, really hammer that home.
And just adding something there, which I think is very important, for all pages, especially for these pages, is that if you are working with an SEO, make sure that this SEO also works with like PPC and with CRO experts, because those guys know how to optimize a page for conversions. So because I know SEO sometimes are all about like, we should add this content to the page and then this content, which is fine. I mean, it's part of like what helps those pages rank, but sometimes they lose sight of like, these pages need to convert. And if you team up, or if you work with an SEO that has experience in CRO as well, but if you team up like a team, you make a team of like PPC experts, SEO experts, and CRO experts, you can, I guarantee you that those pages will like perform really, really well.
Absolutely. Which is a shameless plug for what we do at Shuroak, but we'll leave that for another time because this isn't about us, but that's what we do. We have, basically a full service team. So we're building out the great SEO optimized page, but we're also improving that conversion path as well, making it easier for your prospects to get in touch with you. But again, let's continue forward, Henrique. So let's talk about the last couple of things here, really. So we talked about on-page analysis a little bit when we talked about EAT. We talked about technical and we talked about link building. Is there anything like high level you want to say about each of those and like how we approach them, especially maybe in the context of how it relates to that selection stage? I don't know. I don't want to throw you a curveball here, but what are your thoughts on that? Like just high level for each of those.
Sure. So here, I mean, to go from what I call from dream to win, it's very important that we really start honing in on each page individual from an on-page standpoint. And this means looking at each page holistically and like try to answer a couple of questions. And that will also answer your questions regarding those selection pages, which is, we first need to make sure that the page has a very compelling and relevant and keyword relevant title tag. Because if your keyword is not on a title tag, the likelihood that you will rank for this keyword is much lower. More important than that, that title tag should make users want to click. And why do I say that? Because lately if you look at what Google values and what Google and how Google rewards pages, they value users who click on results. So they had like kind of a leak in terms of like Google rankings and how they measure results and stuff like that. And one of the most important, I'd call it piece of information, is that Google really values sites that are clickable. Of course, this doesn't mean like doing clickbait. The user still has to spend time on the page and all that, so the page has to have like a good user experience. But we have to make sure that those title tags, which are like those blue titles that you see on the search results, those should be really click-worthy. After that, and if you have like a page where you want someone to convert, you have to make sure that all the right information is like on the above the fold section, because this is where most of your users will. That's what most of your users will read, and I guess 90% of them won't scroll down on the page. Mm-hmm. So you have to make sure that your USPs, unique selling points, are really strong and that they are listed there.
Absolutely. Which kind of gets into like conversion paths a little bit too. Like just making sure that you understand the user flow of, someone that gets to the site. Like, yes, you want them to get to the site. Once they get to the site, then that information needs to be clearly laid out so they understand like pretty quickly people's attention spans have only gotten shorter with TikTokification of social media. And so, actually making sure that they're able to address their questions or at least know that they're in the right spot quickly is super important. So, I mean, Henrique, I think that covers like on-page analysis, right? Like, is there anything else you want to say about that?
If I could just add something there, which is important, especially considering that we live in the age of AI, right? So AI is really a game changer for SEO because nowadays, like almost everyone who has ChatGPT Plus can like create a page out of thin air because ChatGPT will do that for you. So how can like legit business stand out in this AI-driven search environment? So what AI can do is create unique content, like unique insights, unique angles. So that's something that AI can't do. So if you want to win in the AI world, my recommendation for you, and it's something that we've been implementing with some clients, is like using data that A is relevant for your users, and B that only your client has access to. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, surveys, statistics, subject matter experts interviews, anything that can make you look different from what already is out there. That's that what this is what will make the difference in the AI world.
Yeah, the first party data is huge. I mean, companies sometimes get all of their inbound leads just from that kind of content that they develop on like a quarterly or annual basis. So I think you're right. I think using AI to make sure that you're, I'm not going to say keyword stuffing, but you're optimally placing keywords into the content where they make sense. And then using your subject matter experts' opinions, not AI's opinions, subject matter expert opinions from that business you're working with is crucial. And if you have data that goes along with those opinions that, again, AI doesn't have access to, it's like first party data from your client or from your business that you're working with, like that is crucial. And that's what's going to help you stand out. You definitely, like Henrik said, do not just go in ChatGPT and ask for like, hey, can you write me a blog and then publish it to your website? Because one, like Google actually doesn't like that. As much as you may think that you're getting all these good SEO scores from the platforms they're being written in, Google is like, hey, this isn't really like trustworthy. And there's a lot of accounts of Google, downplaying those rankings over time. So even though you might have a short term like gain, there's a lot of businesses that have seen a huge hit from algorithm changes. Like we said, SEO is always changing. So you don't want to just rely on that strategy alone. Instead, if you pair AI and like a human opinion or data, first party data, then you're going to be really set from an on page analysis perspective.
Yeah, I always say don't trust what works in the short term. Do what works in the long term.
Absolutely. Because otherwise, it's like if you're doing SEO, you're already kind of bought in that this is a long-term thing and that it'll drive consistent results. But if you're doing SEO and expecting quick results, then there's a chance that in the future those results will actually not really help you and you'll have to engage an SEO agency again. And it's like you spent all this money to develop content that Google actually didn't like. So I'd be hesitant if you are looking at other agencies, be very hesitant, try to understand how much they use AI in their actual content creation. Because if they say that they do a lot and they're really cheap, I would say stay away because you're going to waste your money and you're going to get short-term gains and you're not going to actually see revenue from those pages.
And if you decide using AI, make sure that you have like an actual human fact checking what AI is outputting, because we know that, and this is true, you know that AI can hallucinate, right? It can come up with like facts that are not really facts.
Yeah, literally
Uh,
fake facts. Yeah.
Little fake facts. So you don't want that in your content, right? Otherwise, you won't be seen as as someone with expertise in the field, and we saw that expertise is a big thing for Google.
Awesome. Henrique, let's get into technical SEO. I could actually talk a little bit to this one just because, I come from a very like technical, like web development side as well. And I just want to say a couple things here and then I'll kind of like let you kind of get back into it. But um, technical SEO, super important. It's all about fast load times. You don't want broken links that lead to 404 pages on your site. You need to have a clear website structure, which that is such like a trigger word, I think, for some like business owners. Only because when we say clear site structure, we're not just saying like, oh, like your navigation bar is there. Like I'm talking about having a really clear footer. You need to have like pages that are important, at least 1 or 2 clicks deep, should be linked somewhere. Having a clear site map also that's linked in your footer helps with the search engine being able to find those pages. So it's like it's called technical SEO because it's like the nerdy stuff that is actually happening that you really can't see, but it's happening in the background. And the last thing I just want to say here too is some website builders are better at technical SEO than others, but all of them can work. It's just how you develop your site. So, for example, WordPress, they have a lot of plugins. You can use like WordPress Rocket to improve like your site speed and minify your site images with other plugins, right? And that's going to help your website load faster. Whereas if you're looking at Webflow, and Webflow is like another really popular one that's getting a lot more traction in the last couple of years, and a lot of software companies and fintech companies are using it. The thing is with Webflow is it is a visual interface of CSS, so you want to make sure that you are building lightly. So there's styles, and you should follow a very specific style guide when you're building your site. If you're just adding style after style after style, it's actually making the website really heavy. And I'll be the first to tell you, it's really hard to fix that. It almost is easier to develop a whole new site that looks and breathes the same way, but has a new style guide. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you have a Webflow website, there are very few agencies that can actually help you. Shurok is one of them that actually can help you with that technical SEO side of things, but it is a very manual process and is not very well documented. Not a lot of people even talk about it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Is like from a technical SEO, a lot of people talk about it, but I think very few actually act upon it. And I think Shurok's one of those that we have a pretty good process around most common site builders. So Henrik, I know I just kind of stole your thunder here. Is there anything you want to say on technical, or you think I hit it all?
I think you hit pretty much everything there. I think just one thing about technical SEO, because as you said, like for business owners, sometimes it feels like dark magic or something like that. But what technical SEO really is, in my opinion, is like ensure that your site is good for users. So when I approach like a technical audit, for example, rather than asking what can I do to make search engines like my site more from a technical standpoint, I ask how can I make my site a better experience for users? Because if you fix broken links, if you make your site faster, if you fix all those redirects, in reality, what you're doing is that you're creating a faster, easier to use site for whoever is visiting you. So I think you pretty much cover everything in terms of the nerdy stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to put it out there that like technical SEO is also about considering what your users are looking for.
All right. No, very much true. So let's talk about link building then. Do you want to kind of cover link building? You want to talk to us about it? Like, what are the key things we need to be, focused on, especially when we're trying to acquire more links to our sites? And what does that even mean?
Yeah, so backlinks are very interesting, and I'll tie this up with like the EAT I was talking about, because one of the most important parts of EAT is what Google calls trustworthiness. And for Google, what this means is that your site has to be referenced on from trustworthy sources. Because at the end of the day, and I know a lot of people do this analogy, but I like to think of links as votes of confidence from one side to another. But we have to remember here is that not all links, just like votes, are not all links are created equal. So if you want to, in this case, outvote your competition, you need the right kind of link. In this case, to make them really count, it means like getting links from relevant sites. So, for example, if you are a metal fabrication company, it doesn't make much sense to get links from, let's say, a recipes website. It makes sense to get links from publications that are relevant to your industry or other similar sources within your field, like other companies that do the same thing, or like blogs that only focus on metal fabrication. So because these are the links that lend credibility, because they come from a place that aligns with your area of expertise. Another very important thing I believe in link building is we need to ensure that we are driving links to the most important pages. Because if you start doing link building with a link building company and they only build links to your blog, that's fine, nothing wrong with that. But the other pages, the selection pages that we talked about earlier, those won't be getting links, and without links, they won't be able to rank. Another thing is that we need to ensure that when we start building those links, are those links really so there's one thing that it's a bit technical but very important to understand, which is called anchor text. And anchor text is that clickable text element, that clickable part of the link. And if we want our pages to rank for certain keywords, we need to ensure that our anchor text contains like relevant keywords, the keywords we want to rank for. For example, if we want to rank a page for CRM software, we need to ensure that at least some of the backlinks that we are getting to our CRM software page have CRM software as the anchor text. But this is where like the experience and expertise of like an SEO agency comes in, because we also can't overdo it, because if we overdo it, Google will see it as kind of a spammy tactic and can even penalize you. So I think in a nutshell, if you are working with an SEO agency, make sure that there's a strategy behind your link building. Make sure that they prioritize the right pages. Make sure that they're using those anchor tags. Because if you're not doing so, you'll end up just burning money.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think they like dumb it down even on the smallest level. Is link building is one of those things that's, you know, it really is just like, hey, if Taylor Swift endorses the Kansas City Chiefs, or she's dating Travis Kelce, like more people view the Kansas City Chiefs as a favorite football team because a lot of people like Taylor Swift. It's the same thing in link building. It's like you have this really amazing high authority website, and they are linking something to maybe one of your articles that has first party data, then you're automatically going to have more credibility. That's just called branding in the marketing sense. Like this is SEO's form of branding and of influencer marketing, essentially, if you had to dumb down what link building actually is.
Imagine if you have like a recipes website and you get a link from the New York section on recipes. That's the best link you can have, right? Because not only it will like give you all that SEO juice, but also you get a lot, and this is important, you get a lot of traffic from users who are really interested in what you have to offer.
Absolutely.
So we have also to think link building on those terms.
Cool. Henrique, I kind of want to finish up here. I think we've talked about pretty much everything. We even touched upon like how having a full service team helps with your SEO efforts because they understand the CRO. They understand like the higher level marketing stuff too that comes into play when you're doing demand generation versus demand capture. And if you're a business owner and you're listening to this and you don't know what I'm talking about, just follow our content. We're going to talk way more about this on the podcast. We talk a lot about it on our social media, so follow anyone on our team. We're posting pretty consistently. So parting advice though, Henry, do you just want to cover some of the parting advice, kind of recap what we talked about, the biggest takeaways, and what people should primarily be focused on when they're trying to build the best B2B winning strategy?
Yeah. So, and I think this parting advice will be for any B2B company considering like diving into SEO. I think you have to remember that a good strategy takes time, and SEO doesn't happen. SEO success at least doesn't happen overnight. So it's really, really important if you're going to hire an agency or a freelancer or someone like that. It's really important to ensure that they understand all these that we've been sharing with you. Like, they need to understand your audience journey from that awareness stage to the selection stage. They need to know how to tailor your content to meet your client's needs at each stage. They need to know that they need to focus on user experience. I think this is very important, even more important lately, because I know that Google is really, really, really trying to make sites to have a better user experience. So make sure that your site loads quickly, as you said, has an intuitive navigation, but in the end, that offers real value, and that the value that you offer is something that users can see right after landing on the site. Because as you said, like attention span has been decreasing because there are so many offers, so many products that we really need to capture the user attention on that like 1 second that we have. And yeah, other than that, like if we are considering building links, ensure that the links that you build go for quality and relevance, and don't go for any agency that only promises you quantity. Because if you get a ton of links from a shady blog, that will probably even harm you. So yeah, I think in a nutshell, I think SEO, especially in B2B, is a long game. Results depends, but it can take up to 6 months, or if not more. So I think that if you're thinking about getting immediate results, one thing that you can consider, and this is a parting advice, is like team up PPC with SEO, because PPC can get you those immediate results while you're building your SEO brand.
Yeah. And just to clarify, when we say immediate, because it's not immediate, it's like 30 days, 60 days, like it's still going to take a couple months to get like, just to recognize revenue from a PPC plan, right? Like when we sign a client on for PPC, and they're also happening to be doing SEO as well, we tell the client, hey, it's going to be probably 90 days before we recognize revenue. But we have those leading indicators of MQLs that should be coming in that are giving us their email addresses, and maybe even sales qualified leads that are coming in and around the day 60 mark. And then when we get to day 90, theoretically, one of those leads has closed, and we can recognize revenue and paint an ROI picture for you. So just to kind of build off what Henrik was saying, SEO, it's going to take you probably 6 months to see that kind of results. With paid media and building like a digital engine, it'll probably take 90 days is what you should expect. Any agency that says, oh, you're going to get results in 30 days is lying to your face, and that's some snake oil tactic. Just to like kind of end on that, in case you're comparing our agency to anyone else. But uh, Henrik, this was great. I feel like we talked about everything that a business owner would need. So, uh, as we said before, if you found any of this useful or helpful, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content, because we're going to be talking all about this stuff in future videos. But with that being said, hope to see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you so much, everyone.